Andrew Johnson, billionaire founder of Datatech, knelt on the cold marble floor of the war room in his navy Tom Ford suit that cost more than most people's houses. Both hands gripped the edge of the main console as if he could physically hold his empire together. Every monitor in the room was dark. The company website gone. The government data nodes gone. The entire national backbone Datatech had spent 12 years building gone. A single white message floated in the middle of the main screen. Drop Project Novara. Call this number. Transfer 70% of your shares. You have 5 minutes. Musa, the head of cyber, whispered, "Sir, we're completely offline. Everything." Andrew didn't answer. He couldn't. All he could hear was his own heartbeat trying to punch its way out of his chest. This morning he had been untouchable. Tonight he was on his knees. The timer ticked mercilessly. 3:12, 3:11, 3:10. Engineers scrambled, voices cracking, fingers bleeding on keyboards. Nothing worked. Then a small, steady voice cut through the panic like a blade through smoke. "Sir, I can fix it." Every head snapped toward the glass door. Standing there in a faded blue janitor's apron, yellow gloves, still dripping mop water, was Olivia Nwoke. One engineer laughed bitterly. "Madam Abig, this is not Nollywood." Another waved her away. "Please leave. This is a secure area." But Olivia didn't move. She looked only at Andrew. "I can fix it," she repeated, calm as sunrise. The timer screamed, 1:47, 1:46. Andrew rose slowly, wiping the tears he hadn't realized were on his cheeks. "What's your name?" "Olivia Nwoke." "How sure are you?" "Enough to know you have 87 seconds left." Dead silence. Andrew looked at the terrified geniuses who had built satellites and now couldn't save a single server. Then he stepped aside, let her through. Disbelief rippled across the room. Musa stammered, "Sir," moved the chair. Olivia walked forward like she belonged there all along. She sat, didn't remove the gloves. Her fingers flew across the keyboard faster than anyone in that room had ever typed. She opened a terminal none of them recognized. "They're not attacking your doors," she murmured. They became the walls. Lines of code poured like green rain. 30 seconds. She hit enter. The dead website flickered. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8. A single sheet slid out of the printer. 5:004:003. The main screen flashed bright green. Datatech, all systems nominal. The war room exploded. Engineers screamed, hugged, cried. Someone fell to their knees praising God in 3 languages at once. But Andrew only stared at Olivia. She stood quietly, peeling off the yellow gloves like nothing had happened. "How?" he whispered. She handed him the printed sheet. Andrew read it and felt the floor tilt. The attack originated from inside Andert Tower's IP address. Device MAC. Anderson Kalu, his biggest rival, had orchestrated everything, and Olivia had traced it in 87 seconds. That night, police stormed Andert Towers. Anderson was dragged out in handcuffs while cameras flashed. The nation called Olivia a hero, but Andrew called her into his study at midnight. She came, still wearing the janitor's apron, head slightly bowed. "Sit," he said gently. She sat on the edge of the chair like she was waiting to be dismissed. "Tell me the truth," he said. "Who are you really?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "I used to be one of the best penetration testers in West Africa, until they framed me for stealing 400 million naira. I spent 5 years in Kirikiri. When I came out, no one would hire me. Datatech was the only place that didn't ask for my past. So I took the janitor job." Tears rolled down her cheeks. Andrew felt something break inside him. "Olivia," he said, voice cracking, "starting tomorrow, you are no longer a janitor." She looked up, confused. "You are the new chief of cybersecurity. Highest salary in the company, full authority, and a home. My home has 12 bedrooms. One of them is yours until you want your own." She cried then. Not pretty tears. Real, ugly, healing sobs that shook her whole body. Andrew knelt in front of her, the billionaire, on his knees again, this time willingly. "You saved my legacy," he whispered. "Let me save yours." 6 months later, the wedding was small, private, on a quiet beach in Tarkwa Bay. Olivia walked down an aisle made of white rose petals, wearing a simple lace gown that cost less than her first paycheck as chief of cybersecurity, because she insisted. When the officiant asked for the vows, Andrew spoke first. "I was rich in everything except hope, until a woman in yellow gloves walked into my war room and gave me both." "Olivia, I will spend the rest of my life making sure the world never forgets your name again." Olivia smiled through tears. "You saw me when I was invisible. You believed in me when I had stopped believing in myself. Andrew, I love you more than code, more than freedom, more than every second chance you gave me." They kissed while the sun set behind them, painting the ocean gold. 2 years later, a little boy with his mother's fierce eyes and his father's stubborn chin ran through the mansion garden chasing butterflies. Olivia watched from the balcony, one hand on her rounded belly. She was 6 months pregnant with their daughter. Andrew came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her, and rested his chin on her shoulder. "Still can't believe this is real sometimes," she whispered. He kissed her neck. "Every time I see you in that corner office, wearing those heels instead of yellow gloves, I believe it a little more." She laughed softly. Below them, their son looked up and waved. "Mummy, Daddy, come see the butterfly." Olivia took Andrew's hand. "Come on, Chief Executive Officer," she teased. "Your country can wait 5 minutes." He grinned and followed the 2 greatest miracles of his life down the stairs. Because sometimes the person who saves your empire is the same person pushing a mop in the hallway. And sometimes love doesn't knock. It walks in wearing an apron, carrying a bucket, and quietly rewrites your entire world in 87 seconds. What do you think about this story? Would you have let the janitor sit in the command chair when everything was falling apart? Where are you reading this from tonight? If it touched you, share it. Someone out there needs to remember that their past doesn't cancel their future. And who knows, maybe the person mopping the floor beside you right now is the one God sent to save everything you've built. Subscribe for more stories like this, because real life is always better than fiction, especially when mercy, love, and second chances win. The new Datatech headquarters towered over Victoria Island like a blade of glass and light. At night, its crown glowed, soft blue, the color Olivia had chosen herself, because it reminded her of the prison uniform she never wanted to see again. Inside the penthouse office on the 47th floor, a little boy pressed his nose against the window. Olivia laughed, scooped 5-year-old Charles into her arms, and kissed the top of his curly head. "That's the 3rd mainland bridge at night, baby. Your daddy paid for those lights so people can drive home safely." Andrew, now sporting the first touches of grey at his temples, ruffled his son's hair. "No, Charlie, I just married the real queen." From the doorway came the sound of tiny running feet. 4-year-old Ada, their daughter, burst in wearing a miniature Datatech hoodie and brandishing a plastic stethoscope. "Uncle Musa said the hospital servers are sick again. I'm going to fix them." Ada had been fixing things since she could walk toasters. Smart TVs, once the robotic vacuum that chased the housekeeper for 3 days. Andrew knelt. "Dr. Ada, what's the diagnosis?" "Too many cookies in the cache," she announced proudly. Musa stepped in, older now, hair thinning, but eyes still sharp. E20.NWA-OKE-Johnson@datatech.global. Subject: "You still owe me 5 years." Andrew's arm slid around her waist instantly, protective, steady. "It's him," she whispered. "Denson, the man who had vanished after the border arrest 5 years ago. Everyone assumed he had died in a Benin Republic prison riot." Charles and Ada sensed the shift in the air. Ada clutched Olivia's leg. "Mummy, why are you shaking?" Olivia forced a smile, knelt, and hugged both children tight. "Nothing to worry about, my loves. Mummy and Daddy just have a small dragon to slay. Go find Auntie Kioma, she made chocolate cake." The children scampered off happily. The moment they were gone, Olivia's mask cracked. "He's coming for our family," she said, voice trembling with old terror. Andrew's jaw set like steel. Every major news channel in Nigeria interrupted programming. A masked figure appeared on screen, voice distorted. "Tonight I expose the truth behind Datatech's so-called hero. Olivia Nwoke Johnson is no saint. She is a convicted fraudster who belongs behind bars. In exactly 10 minutes, I will release documents proving she stole billions before her miracle saved 5 years ago." The nation exploded online. #OliviaIsAFraud trended within seconds. Prison photos of Olivia in handcuffs went viral again. Inside the penthouse, Olivia stood frozen in front of the TV, watching her nightmare reborn. He gently turned her face to his. "This time he'll use the children," she whispered. "He knows hurting them will destroy me more than prison ever did." Andrew's phone buzzed. "Inspector Gabriel, now Commissioner Gabriel." "Andrew, we traced the broadcast. It's coming from inside Lagos, Banana Island, an unregistered villa. We're moving in now. Andrew nodded. I'm coming with you. Olivia grabbed his arm. No, you stay with the children. If anything happens to you, he kissed her fiercely. Nothing is going to happen to any of us, I promise you. He turned to Musa. Lock this building down. No one in or out. Children stay with you in Kioma. Then he looked at Olivia one last time. I love you more than anything this empire ever gave me. We end this tonight. The Raid 11 black SUVs screamed through Banana Island's quiet streets. Commissioner Gabriel's voice crackled over comms. Target acquired. Breach on my mark. Inside the villa, Denson sat alone in a dark room, surrounded by screens. He looked older, thinner, eyes wild with 5 years of obsession. On the center screen, a countdown. 0 hours for minutes and 12 seconds until release of evidence. He smiled at the camera he knew they couldn't see. Come find me, Queen. The door exploded inward. Officers flooded the room. Denson didn't resist. He simply raised his hands and laughed. You're too late. Gabriel grabbed him by the collar. Where are the files? Denson's smile widened. Already uploading quantum shard relay. Untraceable, unstoppable. Andrew stepped forward, voice calm ice. You still use the same ghost signature, he said. Denson's smile faltered. Andrew held up his phone. She was in the data tech war room, fingers already flying across keys. Hello, Denson, she said softly. His face twisted in rage. You can't stop a quantum shard. I don't need to, Olivia replied. She pressed enter. Every screen in the villa went black. Then a single line of text appeared. Worm deployed. Signature, Queen's Gambit. All shards purged. Denson lunged at the keyboard. Officers tackled him. Olivia's voice came through the speakers, gentle but final. You taught me how to break systems, Denson. I just got better at building unbreakable ones. She looked straight into the camera, straight at the man who had stolen 5 years of her life. This time, you stay in the cage. Click. The call ended. Back in the penthouse, Olivia closed the laptop and slid to the floor, sobbing with relief. Andrew walked in 20 minutes later, still in his tactical vest. He found her exactly where he knew she would be, curled up with both children asleep against her chest. He knelt, kissed her forehead, then each child. It's over, he whispered. She looked up, eyes red but shining. For real this time, he smiled. Forever. Outside, Lagos kept shining, unaware that its brightest queen had just slain her oldest dragon. Inside, a family of 4 slept tangled together on the carpet under soft blue light. And somewhere in Kirikiri Maximum Prison, a man stared at a wall and finally understood. Some people don't just survive betrayal. They come back stronger, kinder, braver, and when they love like someone who knows exactly how precious second chances are. The end, but really, just the beginning of the rest of their beautiful lives. Drop a if you believe everyone deserves a real second chance. 10 years later, the DataTech Global Summit, 2040. Cape Town International Convention Center. The auditorium is packed. 8,000 delegates from 47 countries. The stage is a circle of light. A giant hologram of planet Earth spins slowly above it, every node glowing safe, green, unbreakable. The host's voice booms. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the couple who turned second chances into a global revolution. Co-CEOs of DataTech Global, Dr. Andrew and Dr. Olivia Johnson. The applause is thunder. They walk out holding hands. Andrew, now 50, looks like fine wine in a midnight blue traditional suit. Olivia, 42, radiates in emerald ankara and lace, her natural hair in a regal crown of braids, threaded with gold. Behind them on the massive screen flashes their new family portrait. Charles, 15, already taller than his father, wearing the same determined eyes. Adam Papla's glasses, mischievous smile, already accepted early into might. The twins, David and Daniela, 7, waving like they own the world because, in many ways, they do. The host continues. 10 years ago, the world watched a janitor save Nigeria's digital soul. Today, that same woman and her husband protect the data of 2 billion people across Africa and beyond. They have built the largest sovereign cloud on the planet, trained 300,000 girls in cybersecurity for free, and turned the word impossible into a family joke. Laughter ripples through the crowd. Andrew takes the mic first. 10 years ago, I learned that real wealth isn't measured in shares or servers. It's measured in the people willing to stand with you when everything is falling. He turns to Olivia. And I married the bravest person I've ever met. The crowd roars. Olivia steps forward, voice steady but thick with emotion. I spent 5 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. I spent one day with a mop in my hand. And that was enough for destiny to find me. She smiles, eyes shining. Today I stand here as proof that your worst chapter can become someone else's survival guide. She raises her hand. Every girl watching this right now, especially the ones society has written off, listen to me. Your past is not your prison. It is your testimony. The auditorium rises in a standing ovation that lasts for full minutes. Later that night, a private villa on the Atlantic seaboard. Moonlight spills silver across the ocean. The children are asleep inside. She leans her head on his shoulder. Do you ever think about that day? She asks quietly. The countdown. The yellow gloves. He stops, turns her to face him. Every single day, he says. Because that was the day I stopped living for success and started living for you. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out something small. The original pair of yellow janitor gloves, now framed in glass, worn soft from the day she saved everything. She gasps. Andrew. He smiles. I had them preserved. Because those gloves are the real crown jewels of this empire. Tears roll down her cheeks. He wipes them gently. Olivia Johnson, you turned my war room into a love story. You turned my fear into faith. You turned a billionaire who had everything into a man who finally has what matters. He kisses her slowly, deeply, under African stars that have watched their whole impossible journey. Far away, in a small cell in Kirikiri, an old prisoner watches the live broadcast on a contraband phone. Denson, Afalabi, grey, broken, forgotten. He stares at Olivia glowing on the screen, surrounded by love, power, family. He whispers one word to the dark. Checkmate. Then he turns the phone off, lies back on his thin mattress, and for the first time in 15 years, he cries, because some people spend their lives trying to destroy queens, and some queens simply rise so high that destroyers can only watch from the ground and finally understand. The game was never theirs to win. Final scene 2050, a quiet village in Enugu, a brand new secondary school built by the Mercy and Mango Foundation. Yes, Olivia kept the name from Jeremy's old story. She loved the poetry. Hundreds of girls in new uniforms line up for the opening ceremony. On the wall of the admin block is a mural. It shows a woman in a blue apron and yellow gloves, standing in front of a glowing green screen. Underneath, in bold letters, she was never just the janitor. She was the future.